Hello everybody, and thank you for joining me for another story time this week. This is the time of year where winter is drawing near. That rhymed. But really, all the animals out there have been getting ready for winter for weeks. Although it might not be as cold as it normally is, there's still a lot of work to be done if you're an animal getting ready for winter. So today's story is going to be all about what some of our animals do during the winter time, and it is indeed called Animals in Winter. It was written by Henriette Bancroft and Richard G. Van Gelder and illustrated by Helen K. Davy. Let's jump right in. Animals in Winter. Looks like this outside. The days grow short, the nights grow long. It is getting colder. Winter is coming. I love winter. Leaves have fallen from the trees. There are no berries on the bushes. Insects are gone, and the grass is dead and brown. Birds and other animals are getting ready for winter. Some of the birds will fly south. We call that migration. Bluebirds and orioles will go toward the south. Bluebirds. An oriole. They go where it's warm and sunny and where there's food for them to eat. When spring comes, the birds will make the long journey back north. They migrate. Some butterflies migrate too. That is what monarch butterflies do. They gather in a tree by the hundreds before cold weather comes. They stay in that tree all night. In the morning, they fly toward their winter homes in the south. So monarchs here in Minnesota or Wisconsin go all the way down to Mexico, which is a very far journey if you're just a tiny little butterfly. Woodchucks hibernate too. When fall comes, a woodchuck eats and eats and eats. He eats grass, twigs, and leaves. He grows fat. When it gets cold, the woodchuck crawls into his long tunnel and goes to sleep. There's the woodchuck. Here's his tunnel system. So it says secret entrance, hidden behind a bush. And then he has a main entrance, and you can see the mound or sun porch and watchtower. That's very cool. So it looks like dirt he's taken out of his tunnel system, serves another purpose once it's outside. He has a sleeping chamber that he's lined with some comfy things for winter. And I've always thought this part is very cool, is a toilet chamber, right? You don't want to go potty where you're going to be sleeping. That'd be kind of yucky. So they have a separate chamber for that. Pretty cool. Some animals do not have to hibernate. They gather food and save it for winter. That is what the pika does. A pika looks a little like a rabbit, but with round ears. Pikas live in high mountains where winters are long and cold. They eat grass. In the summer, they cut more grass than they can eat. They spread the grass on flat stones, and the hot sun dries it. So we don't have pikas here, but they have them in like the Rocky Mountains. So if you were to go to Colorado, you could maybe see a pika. By the end of summer, a pika may have gathered 50 pounds of grass. She hides it under rocks, and in the winter, she eats the dry grass. It keeps her alive. So some of you maybe grow your own food at home, and then you have to do something to preserve it, right? Maybe you dry it, maybe you put it in cans, maybe you freeze it. So that's what the pika does. She has to preserve her own food to last her through winter. Squirrels gather food too and save it for winter. They dig holes in the ground, they bury hickory nuts and acorns. When winter comes, they dig them up and eat them. Sometimes squirrels forget where they buried the nuts. Trees may grow from the nuts that the squirrels forget. Thank you, squirrels, for planting us trees. Some animals do not get ready for winter at all. They do not store food. They do not hibernate. They do not migrate. They must hunt for food all winter long. There are mice that must hunt all winter for seeds of goldenrod, asters, and other wild plants. Sometimes they eat farmers' corns, oats, and wheat. Deer must dig in the snow for dried leaves, plants, and moss. When the snow is deep, they must eat the twigs, bud, and bark of the trees. The rabbit must hunt under the snow for bits of grass and plants. When the snow is deep, he too eats the buds and bark of bushes so he can stay alive. In the winter, the fox hunts for mice and rabbits. This fox has discovered a mouse in its tunnel beneath the snow. So there's a whole system of tunnels under the snow from a lot of critters. We call this the subnivean layer. So sub means below, and nivean means snow, so below the snow. And many animals like fox or even owls have super good hearing, and they can hear those critters in their little under the snow tunnels, and they're able to hunt them. When winter is cold and the snow is deep, many animals cannot find food. Here are some ways that you can help animals in winter. Let's look at some of these. It says, make a peanut and popcorn garland. So you can put them on string, and then the animals can eat them off there. Hang suet in a plastic net bag. Or you could get a not plastic, like a metal feeder option as well. Stick fruit and cheese pieces on a dead branch. Nail a seed tray with drainage holes to a fence post. Make an apple, cranberry, raisin, and orange garland. Ooh, these are very festive, great for this time of year. Nail a sunflower head to a fence post. Animals can eat the seeds out of it. There's some more. Make sure feeders are placed out of reach of predators. Put a birdhouse in a tree or under the eaves of your house. So even though our birds aren't nesting right now, some of our birds will seek shelter in these kinds of things or in tree cavities during the winter to help them stay warm or stay out of snowstorms or bad weather. Plant shrubs with berries for food and shelter. This is one of the best things that we can do, is plant native plants that will provide food for the animals in our yard. Then we don't have to provide them food. Let's see, hang an ear of corn for squirrels and chipmunks. Yum, 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 they love corn. Please remember, once you begin feeding birds and other wild animals in winter, you must continue. They are depending on the food you supply. Eventually, the days grow longer, the nights grow shorter, it begins to get warmer. Spring is coming. So now in the fall, we have quite a long ways to spring. So see if you can go outside and take note of what the animals are doing. Do you see animals getting ready for winter? Do you see any birds that are maybe migrating through? If you're in the driftless area, boy oh boy, the refuge is full of birds right now. It's very loud and very exciting every time I visit, with ducks and geese and swans and still a few sandhill cranes lingering. But it's very noisy if you go visit out there, especially if you go at sunset. It is quite the sight. But maybe you find some other signs that animals are getting ready for winter. I found this huge pile of pine cones on my walk the other day that a little red squirrel has been working really hard to gather so it has food through winter. And get ready. What do you have to do to get ready for winter? Do you do anything differently? Maybe something similar to an animal? maybe something different from an animal. So be thinking about those things as you head outside and enjoy the season. And get ready, because winter is my favorite season and I'm so excited. We'll see you again soon for another story time. Bye-bye.